You know that the Iranians promote instability, and we see the Abraham Accords promoting stability in the region. You know, the last time when I was at the UN, I flew to Dubai. It was very sensitive and complicated. It required so much coordination. And today we have 28 passenger flights a week from Israel to the UAE, which is incredible to see. And we are very happy that the excitement is not only among the diplomats and leaders, it is also between the peoples of both our countries. I wanted to ask you, where do you think we can take these new relationships in the future? For sure we will have to work against the Iranian threat, but what else you think we can do?
Well, first of all, we should have hope, because even if Biden were to move things backwards, we have come so far. I mean, if you look at the fact that everyone now realizes that Israel has a lot of contributions. I think if you look at the fact that the embassy was moved, I think if you look at the decision on the Golan Heights, if you look at the fact that we acknowledged Hamas was a terrorist organization, if you look at the fact that we got out of the Human Rights Council, I mean, there's so many things. And then you add on the historic moment of the Abraham Accords. Truly, so many moments to celebrate that I think that we need to go forward on. But what I want the people of Israel to remember, and what I want you to remember, Danny, is this is different. This is different because this is not just Israel wanting to normalize relations with the Arab countries. The Arab countries now want to normalize relations with Israel. They now know that a partnership with Israel is good for them, that a partnership with Israel will bring additional technology, additional innovation, additional partnership in the fight against Iran and terrorism. Additional friends are always something everyone needs. And the fact that so many of the Arab countries now see value in Israel, I think that's an amazing moment. I think it's fantastic. And I think that regardless of what Biden does, he can't take that away. He can't take that part away, because for the first time, what was so miraculous about what brought about the Abraham Accords, every president, Republican and Democrat prior, always said that peace in the Middle East was through the Palestinians. John Kerry said it not too long ago. President Trump acknowledged that peace in the Middle East was never about the Palestinians. It was about Iran. And from the first Arab summit, when he met with them, and he said, we need to partner together against terrorism, it was President Trump's way of isolating Iran. And the signing of the Abraham Accords was a signing of friendship, a signing of trust, and a signing of future partnership. And I think that's going to go on regardless of who the American president is, because it is the legacy of President Trump. It is the legacy of the Trump administration. And it's from a lot of really good work that's happened. And so I am very hopeful and very excited about what can happen going forward, because I now think the Arab countries have faith in the fact that they've come far enough that they want to continue. And I think the idea that Netanyahu meeting with MBS recently was just another testament to the fact that these Arab countries want to be friends with Israel. And so I think the sky is the limit on where we go from here.
Well, we say in Arabic, Inshallah, God's will, Ve'edat Hashem in Hebrew. And in a few weeks, the Prime Minister will be traveling to the Gulf, and we are looking forward for that. Ambassador Haley, in recent years, both in the US and here in Israel, unfortunately, there is a trend of polarization in public opinions, especially in times of elections. We see it here, you saw it in the US. In your opinion, how do we combat the rising polarization in both our great democracies?
Well, I think, first of all, acknowledge that great democracies can have polarization. But that's because we have freedom. And we always have to appreciate the fact that freedom means so much. Freedom of speech, freedom to use the power of your vote, freedom to express and to serve and and to do all of those things, freedom of religion, all of those things matter. And so we come from a place of good. And at times that means that we do get polarized. But what we have to always remember is that 90% of us, all of us agree on 90% of things. We agree on 90% of things. We just have a different way of getting there. So when we realize that we all want to get to another place, we all want to take our children to a certain place, we all have goals. We all have the same goals. We just have to figure out how to get there. And I think we have to see each other as having parents, having children, wanting a future, wanting hope, wanting opportunities, wanting safety, wanting healthcare, all of those things. We just have to remember that these are just different ways of getting there. And at the end of the day, we're stronger together. And I will always say that we have to stay stronger together, regardless of who our leaders are that come and go. We have to stay strong because we all fought to be where we are. Americans fought to be where we are in independence and freedom that we have. Israel fought so much to be in the place that it is right now. So we have to realize that democracy is a good thing. Polarization can take us a step back. But if we remember that we're all going towards the same goal, then that's what will bring us back together again.
So before we conclude, I would like to ask you a little bit about what the future might hold. I remember in the time that we were stationed at the UN, there was always speculation about a return to politics. For me in Israel, and of course for you in the US. There are many expectations for both our political careers. In Israel, I made it very clear that I intend to go back to politics, but I will not challenge the Prime Minister. Maybe you can share with us what the future holds for you, and when can we expect to hear more about it?
All right, Danny, you go first. You go first, and then I'll follow. No, I think that what I saw in this past year, I worked very hard in elections for President Trump, but for also for us to keep the Senate, and hopefully we'll continue to do that. We won back a lot of House seats in Congress. We won governor's races. We won state house races. So it was a great, great year for Republicans in terms of really having wins within states. So that was important. And now we've got two really big Senate races in January. And so I'll be campaigning for those as well. Now, as I go forward, I'm going to continue with my policy group Stand for America and be involved in that. I will be continuing to focus on elections now in 2022. So I will be helping governors and senators and House members the same way to move our country forward. I will be loud and proud, continuing to talk about the things I care about, and continuing to help our friends that are doing so much to make our country better. And I certainly look forward to continuing to partner with you, Danny, in any way that I can. The work we did at the United Nations was the two of us alone. But it went to show, it goes to show that friendship and partnership and passion and will for a better day can happen with just two people alone. And so I look forward to continuing to work with you in any way that I can, continuing to support the people of Israel who have been just so kind to me, and continuing to have a voice going forward.
Thank you. And you know that if you decide to run in Israel, it's a very easy run for you, for any position. Finally,
I'll remember that.
Last question. We all know that you inspire so many young people. What would be your parting words of advice for the next generation of leaders? People are watching us from all around the world today.
My advice for the next generation is to remember we need you. We need you. We have a saying that, if you're not involved in the process, you can't complain. And I think that that's so important that, you have to have a voice. You have to be a part of it. You have to be a part of service. But more than that, whatever you decide to do in leadership is remember the power of your voice. And then from that, push through the fear. Because whenever you take on a challenge and you feel that nervous feeling, your tendency is to step back. Instead, lean into it. Because when you push through the fear, you find out how strong you are. When you push through the fear, you realize you're capable of things you never thought you would be. If you push through the fear, you find out what it means to live. If you don't push through the fear, you never know what could have been. If I didn't push through the fear, I wouldn't have won a seat in the state house. If I hadn't pushed through the fear, I wouldn't have become governor. If I hadn't pushed through the fear, I wouldn't have taken on the United Nations. When you push through the fear, you help more people than yourself. You really help people around you. And so stay active, stay involved, know the power of your voice, and always push through the fear.
Ambassador Nikki Haley, thank you very much for joining us. It has been a pleasure to speak with you. Wishing you and your family a very happy holiday, and we look forward to host you next year here in Israel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Danny. Happy Hanukkah and next year in Jerusalem.
Thank you.